DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Friday, January 6th, 2023. Yes, the weekend is here. Today we are blessed to have our good friend and colleague, BTB from Beating the Bookie, to join us from Florida. Hopefully he sends us some of that sunshine back east here, as it's been rainy, dreary, and hasn't been that cold. Snow coming, though, the beginning of next week and at the end of the week, something that he doesn't know much of. But we're going to get you guys ready for the weekend. Just quickly, nothing but positivity and great news, obviously, from Damar Hamlin. The news that has come out has just been amazing. God bless the power of prayer. It's been amazing. I guess the way it sounds is the Cincinnati-Buffalo game will not be replayed. It is a no contest. What they do with the playoffs are coming out with more news as we speak. So the weekend will be business as usual. 2 NFL games on Saturday. The #1 seed can obviously be claimed by the Chiefs with a win in Vegas, and then the games on Sunday, and then we'll figure out the playoffs. But without further ado, let's bring him in, the one and only B2B himself.
Good morning, Jeff, and good morning, everybody out there watching on this beautiful Friday morning.
Good morning, sir. It is a beautiful Friday, the first full week of 2023. A lot has happened this week alone. Obviously, what had transpired on Monday. And then it was almost like you and I came together on Tuesday, a somber Tuesday in our lanes, kind of tiptoeing through how to address what transpired on Monday night. Really didn't do a lot of NFL talk. Went right to college hoops, NHL, yada, yada, yada. Got a clearer picture. There it is with the Bills Mafia hat as it is. So with that said, we have a clearer picture in the NFL. What has been going on in your lanes, in your world, the last couple of days since we talked last?
Just, what we fully expected, a coin toss will determine home field between if the Ravens win this week, if they win the division, I guess a coin toss determines it, and the AFC Championship could be played at a neutral site. I think it would be cool to play in the Fargo Dome or something like that. It's quite an odd time, but like I said, this was the NFL's chance to do something where nobody could complain about it, right? Nobody can complain because of the situation. Tragedies happen. Unfortunately, tragedies happen every day, right? In our country, So it's nice to see one with looks like a positive ending. He may never play again. But luckily it sounds like he can live a good life. Just like he had planned before, just with no football. So. And he could even come back. I mean, we saw Chris Pronger came back from it. So, I mean, it's definitely possible. But, with doctors today and teams not wanting to take risk, it's hard to see somebody signing a waiver, kind of like with Chris Bosh. When Chris Bosh had the blood clots, he was taking the blood thinners. Nobody wanted to sign a waiver because if he got hurt, got cut on court, he could potentially die. So, we'll see what happens with that. But, this is something to me, yesterday, I told you on Tuesday, Wednesday, I took a future on the Cincinnati Bengals plus 750 to win. And, the more I look at it this week, I'm feeling less positive about that. I'm feeling more positive about my Bills plus 600 from the beginning of the year because, looking at player quotes this week and stuff, when the Bills heard from DeMar, his father, they were very pumped up, right? Like he's telling them, did we win the game? He wants them to play the game, right? And the Bills, like Josh Allen, the defensive players are like, we can't wait to get back out there and play a game, right? And I'm like, I really like how the Bills are sounding right now. I really like this, right? But on the other hand, the Bengals, I read an article yesterday, the Bengals are like still trying to process what happened. And the Bengals, like they weren't too sure if playing this week was a good idea. So it seems like it's affecting the Bengals psyche more now than I would have thought, it would be. And I'm feeling like the Bengals now they're like mentally down. Whereas the Bills got the positive news, our teammate, our brother's back up, so we're pumped up. Let's go kick some fucking ass. But the Bengals, I'm kind of like not liking how I'm hearing them, like a little soft. But I mean, it's a tragedy, but it's gonna be a good ending. But I mean, I don't like the quotes I'm hearing coming from the Bengals, so I felt less positive about that, since I put that in. But obviously they're still a good team and stuff, and we'll see how they respond on the field. I mean, T. Higgins is a key player for them, and obviously T. Higgins has nothing to do with it, right? Like nothing, and it's just like there's nothing T. Higgins could do about it. It's not his fault, nothing like that. But you get those idiots out there like on Twitter who blame him and stuff. That can get in your head, or I'm sure he thinks he's partly responsible and stuff like that, even though he's not. As one of your best receivers, so it's tough to know where the Bengals' minds are at. Whereas I think, we're starting to see with the Bills, they can't wait to get back out there and play a game. So this week's games are going to be interesting, and I'm just looking forward to getting some football back on Saturday. It's weird having a Thursday with no game, but I'm ready to get back to football on Saturday.
I'll go to Saturday right now. It's funny. The Chiefs are a 9.5 with a 52. Early in the week, I saw some 8s and 7.5s, and then boom, here we go again, back to 9.5 and a 52. Now, karma is one of those words you believe or you don't believe. Wouldn't it just be karma that if somehow, some way, the Raiders beat Kansas City, and then the number one seed obviously is Buffalo's? You see any chance that the Raiders can beat Kansas City on Saturday?
Listen, I think, well, if Buffalo still beats, if Buffalo beats the Patriots, still have the same, I guess, the same record technically, but
one less game, so the actual winning percentage goes to Kansas City.
Is that how they're doing the?
Mm-hmm.
But if they played each other, though, it would be a neutral site, right?
That is correct. So they basically said, listen, we don't want to play that game. So basically, if Kansas City gets the 1 seed and they face Cincinnati or Buffalo, the way I understand it, then it will be a neutral game for either one of those two teams because they weren't able to play that game.
But if Buffalo plays Cincinnati, it's at Buffalo, correct? Because Buffalo has a better record. Yeah. So, I mean, for home field, I mean, it'll be nice it'll be nice for the Bills, obviously, if the Chiefs lose. Because then, I mean, the Bills will still need to win for home field advantage, of course. But that neutral field thing is not going to happen. So, can the Raiders win? I mean, they played great against the Niners last week. It's Stidham, his first start ever. He looked pretty good. The Raiders usually play the Chiefs very tough at home, right? I'd like the Raiders' chances more so with David Carr or whatever. But obviously he's not there anymore. And I think the Chiefs might not cover the spread, but I don't see them losing, especially considering the fact that they're the first up. They're first up the bat, right, that weekend. They're the first game, and they know if they win, they can at least wrap up a neutral field advantage or whatever. at the worst, right? So I'm pretty sure the Chiefs will get the job done. I'm not sure they'll cover, but I do think they will get the job done just because everybody's going to be watching national televised game. They're the first ones to go, and I don't see the Chiefs having a letdown right there, especially with the massive advantage they have in the quarterback position, the massive coaching advantage they have, right? Andy Reid over Josh McDaniels, it's a huge advantage for me. The only thing the Raiders really have going for them is the play spoiler, right? Because it's been a disappointing season for the Raiders. More 17-point blown leads this year than they had in their entire franchise history, I believe. So it's been a tough year for the Raiders. And Stidham, I mean, like I said, the Chiefs have one full game of game tape to prepare for him. So I think they'll be a little more prepared than the 49ers were for him last week. But I do think that the Chiefs get the job done. Whether or not they cover that number, I'm not sure. I mean, say they could win by 4 or something like that, maybe get backdoored for a score at the end, where the Raiders cover the spread if the Chiefs are playing prevent defense, stuff like that. So I definitely think the Chiefs win. So I think we're probably looking at a neutral field AFC championship or something like that. I just don't see them losing. I don't see them losing with all that's in front of them. You've got the greatest quarterback in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes, who can essentially put the team on his shoulders and, take him all the way. So I think the Chiefs will be prepared, and I think that they'll beat the Raiders. But whether they cover or not, I'm not sure. But I think that's a good opportunity for a nice teaser, putting the Chiefs in the teaser leg. So I haven't decided what I'll do there yet, but I definitely think they win the game.
The game before them, actually, no, I'm sorry. The 8 o'clock, the 8:15 game, Tennessee at Jacksonville, rotation number 457, 458. My initial opening number 6.5 for the 38.5. The over-unders now got pushed to 40. Still a 6.5. You got two teams going in an exact opposite direction. Joshua Dobbs makes his second start. Malik Willis is not ready for prime time. The return of O. Henry, give a slight coaching edge. Well, I don't know. I'm a Vrabel guy, but I mean, Mr. Peterson has won a Super Bowl, so I can't say there's a big coaching edge. Trevor Lawrence is the guy that we finally thought he would be. ETN, Ingram's had a big second half. Christian Kirk, Zay Jones. Does that number smell to you that it's not a touchdown? Are you leaning that the Titans got a puncher's chance with Joshua Dobbs, or is this Jags winning in and they'll take care of business?
Listen, the Jags have been playing very good football, very good defensive football. And I don't, if they had Ryan Tannehill, of course, I think they would have a chance to beat the Jags. But with Josh Dobbs, only his second game in that offense, hasn't really had much time to prepare. It's just hard for me to see the Titans winning. It's very hard for me to see the Titans winning, actually. Mike Vrabel, it's easy to say Mike Vrabel has a coaching advantage, but I also think that, the Jags coach, Peterson, he's won a Super Bowl, right?
Yes.
So, he won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, which was the beating Tom Brady with Nick Foles, which was, we thought, was probably impossible back then. So I don't think there's as big of a coaching advantage as people think. But I do think the Jags, I think the Jags will win. And their defense has been playing so well lately, getting a lot of turnovers and stuff. I think they can force turnovers with Dobbs. And, unless Derrick Henry does something crazy, right? Like runs for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. I don't think the Titans can win. And, Titans, this is how they set their offense up from the get-go, right? They started the year with just basically playing possession football all year long, right? If they were up 10 points at halftime, they would run the ball the entire second half, not throw. So, a lot of those guys don't have the those clutch moment, feelings like, they're just used to shutting it down in the second half when they have the lead. So I'm not really a big Mike Vrabel fan. I mean, a lot of people are, but at the end of the day, I think he's a mediocre coach. He's one of those rah-rah guys. He gives a lot of good clips and stuff where people are like, oh, this guy's a good coach. But he had Ryan Tannehill for a 25-game span that was the 5th highest passer rating in NFL history. And they went to Kansas City and blew like a 3-touchdown lead, to lose to the Chiefs in the playoffs. So I think that was their best year at doing something. And I think the Titans this kind of like beginning of the end for the Titans, right? I don't know how much longer Tannehill is going to want to stay in Tennessee. They drafted Malik Willis, who's obviously not the answer, but they drafted him. So now did they stick with him? I mean, we don't know. Josh Dobbs is not going to be their starter next year. So
no.
What are the Titans going to do? Are they going to make a move for somebody in the offseason? But I just don't see I don't see the Titans winning this game. I think the Jags are just hot right now. Trevor Lawrence is playing great football. Their defense is playing great. I mean, they looked great against the Texans, a Texans team that was playing pretty decent on offense. So I think the Jags are in a good spot. And, I think a good bet for Saturday is a Jacksonville teaser with the Chiefs, So I think that's a pretty good play actually for Saturday. So outside of, Derrick Henry going absolutely bananas, I don't see Tennessee having a chance. I think they'll probably pick off Dobbs a couple of times, and I think it's over for the Titans.
As we are speaking, Sunday, Ravens and Bengals. The line is shot from 7.5 to 9. Obviously, that was my assumption is confirmation that Lamar Jackson wasn't playing. He hasn't practiced since December 4th. Ravens coming off a loss against the Steelers in the last 30 seconds there. Hundley at the helm. Bengals just rolling. Their defense hasn't given up over 17 in a long, long time. You talked about the morale and the spirit of them. So I'm kind of curious with the adjustment there of 9, which leads me to my next question, BTB, is the Bills. We don't know which Bills team's going to show up. Yes, we expect them to rally around DeMar, but is it in week 18 or is it, we don't care where we're playing, it will be in that playoff run because you got a Patriots team that's 2-2 their last 4. The only reason that they're 2-2 is because their defense has scored in the last 4 weeks. But that line's 6.5, 7. Pats win and they're in. So do you take a look at the seedings, playing for a seeding, or is there more sense of urgency with a team that's, winning, you're in?
Yeah, I think the Patriots are pretty much 2-2 in their last game. I mean, the last 4 because, they played a third-string quarterback. Skylar Thompson last week, and I can see taking the points if it was at New England, right? But the Bills, I think the Bills are gonna be pumped up, and the Bills want that. The Bills want that number 1 seed, or they at least want the neutral site game, right, for the playoffs. And I just haven't seen anything from the Patriots offense that tells me that they can cover this number, right? They're offensively, they did nothing against the Dolphins. They won the game basically on a pick 6, right? And the Dolphins, did, fairly well driving it up and down the field. I mean, Tyreek Hill did well. They had some things go against them, some turnovers, which is going to happen when you have a third-string quarterback. And before that, they had Teddy Bridgewater play a couple quarters, and basically, Teddy Bridgewater has been abysmal this season. So, I think it's while the injury can be a rallying cry for the Bills, I don't see the Bills, if they're going to go out there, they're going to play in front of their home fans. I think they're going to be pumped up. I mean, the play's going to be loud, and I think it could get ugly right here. I mean, we've seen the Dolphins. It's the same scenario, I believe, end of last season. The Dolphins went to Buffalo with a chance to make the playoffs, and they just got destroyed, right, by 30 points. The game was over at halftime. So I think we'll see a similar situation this year. And I just don't see I don't see any playmakers on offense where the Patriots can exploit the Bills' defense. and score points, right? Like they don't have that's what one thing Mac Jones, I mean, he might be a solid quarterback, but he lacks the playmakers on offense that can make plays for him, right? And I think we're going to see that this week. I think the Bills just dominate the Patriots, and especially with it being at Buffalo, you're going to have that crowd's going to be absolutely crazy. They're stir crazy. They basically didn't watch a game last week, right? The Bills basically didn't play. I mean, so you can think of it as the Bills are basically coming off of a bye week, right? The Bills are going to be fresh, and I think the Bills are going to want to lay the wood. I mean, really, I think they're going to want to lay the wood, and I think they make the Patriots pay.
Well, if people tell you they don't watch our shows, they're full of you-know-what. As we were speaking, Buffalo and the Patriots, our good friend, Jeffrey Benson at the Circa, moved the under-over from 42.5 to 44 right before my eyes. So Jeffrey, good morning. The East Coast says hello. Rob says hello. Tell Derek we'll be coming out there real soon. So make sure the boys will be ready there. So, yeah, they're listening. It just got bumped to 44 as we speak. So
that's a big move. I mean, that's a big move.
That is a real big move. So anyone out there that got 42.5, 43, 43.5, and you're listening and you like the over, you better buy it now because it's flying. So we'll see what happens there. Any other potential games you're eyeing, people that are listening, watching, that you might be able to give them a little nugget for Sunday before we head on over to the hardwood?
I'm just excited to see the Joe Flacco, Skylar Thompson, Dolphins Jets matchup because they announced that Mike White's not playing this week. So Joe Flacco is getting a start for the Jets, who technically have a chance. Oh, I guess not anymore because they're not adding an eighth team. But a lot of people in South Florida say, "Oh, Skylar Thompson is the truth, right? This kid's going to be a great quarterback." I guess we'll see it this weekend, right? So I'm excited for that game. I definitely don't think the Dolphins are back down to -3, but the Dolphins are the much better team, especially when they have Tua. But Thompson, listen, the Dolphins' season depends on Thompson, right? The Dolphins basically going up to this game, they control their own destiny, right? Because they have to get it done to even have a chance at the playoffs. So the best thing the Dolphins can do is have Thompson take care of business, shut down the Jets, and then hope that Buffalo beats New England. So I'm excited to see that game. Besides that, I think this week you just got a lot of teams that are a lot of player incentives, right? Where players will be playing for. I saw there was a good a tweet yesterday with a guy posted a lot of the incentives players are chasing in this week, for their stats and stuff like that. So I believe the best one I saw was Jamal Williams is one touchdown away from breaking Barry Sanders' team record for most touchdowns in a season. And he said that he wants to break it. So that's definitely one that I'll probably do like a 3-unit play on, Jamal Williams to score a touchdown. I know they're playing, at Green Bay, but he gets the most goal line carries of any back in the NFL. So I like him definitely to score a touchdown on that one. So I'll be playing a big play on that. So I'd say the game I'm probably looking forward to the most is the Detroit Green Bay game, right? Because if Green Bay wins, they're in, right? I mean, essentially they were left for dead after week 1, right? We've seen the Packers be left for dead back-to-back years after week 1, right? They got blown out by the Vikings in week 1 this year, and they were dead. Aaron Rodgers' career was over. It doesn't look like he wants to play anymore. Last year, they got blown out by the Saints in Jacksonville because the game moved from a hurricane, and Jameis Winston threw 4 touchdowns, and it was the Packers are dead, and they made a run. We see the same thing this year. And actually, if you look at the NFC, if the Packers make the playoffs, I mean, I think they're playing just as good as anybody in the NFC right now, right? and the Bucks are playing well right now. We're seeing the Bucks probably play their best game of the year last week offensively. So I think I think the NFC is wide open, right? Whereas talked about it a few times on the show over the last few months. The Eagles. I hate to say it, but I think the Eagles' best football might be behind them. Right? They have not looked good. They have not been healthy. The Niners have looked good, but sooner or later, you rely on your defense so much where your defense just kind of breaks a little bit. We saw them kind of break against the Raiders. Gave up 34 points to the Raiders. It's hard to maintain that defense for the entire season. So I think the NFC is wide open. I think there's a serious case where you could see Green Bay, Tampa going to the Super Bowl, right? As long as they get those favorable matchups. I don't see any reason why Tampa can't beat Dallas in Tampa Bay, in the wild card round. So I think it's going to be an exciting playoff. But I'm just looking at that Detroit Green Bay game, hoping that Green Bay can get in, and Aaron Rodgers can give it really one last run with the Packers.
I'm not sure if we'll be back, you and I, on Monday. And if we are, then obviously we're going to circle the wagons and go over this. But Monday is the NCAA championship, Rob. I'm still seeing 12.5 and 63.5 now is the consensus. Like I said, if we come back on Monday, then we'll really be highlighting this. Anything that you got any before the weekend and before Monday thoughts on that?
Well, you just look at the stats, and Georgia pretty much dominates every offensive stat and every defensive stat. Georgia averages more yards of play and more points of play. They throw the ball at a higher rate than TCU. Completion percentage is much higher. Third down conversion percentage much higher. And Georgia, their red zone scoring percentage is 99%, right? Defensively, Georgia allows less yards per play, less opponents' points per play. Their third down conversion percentage on defense, much less. And Georgia only gives up 66% scoring in the red zone, defensively. So I think Georgia pretty much dominates in every metric. And obviously that's why they're a 12.5 point favorite, right? And this line, to me, I'm not usually one that's going to like taking these big spreads and stuff, like it's a lot of points to be laying, especially for a national championship game. But I think that, this line to me screams like they're begging for people to take TCU. And a lot of people think, maybe Georgia is up 17 and they just give up a backdoor touchdown at the end. Sure, that can happen. But they're begging for people to take TCU. And you got people like Mattress Mac put $3 million on TCU money line, which is kind of a wild choice right there. And considering Mattress Mac's track record outside of the Astros bet, it's been pretty abysmal. I'm not sure he's even won a college football bet, to be honest. But it's been pretty abysmal betting on football for him. So if I had to, make a play right now, I'd probably take Georgia. And I do like the over, but I also feel like I could easily see like Georgia just coming and bringing their A game on defense after getting torched last game by Ohio State. I'm sure they've been practicing hard and stuff. And Kirby Smart, I'm sure it wasn't a pleasant meeting with Kirby Smart, especially for their secondary after that Ohio State game. And I could see, him getting into those boys, and I can see them, just blowing the doors off of TCU. But I'm going to still lean the over because I think just TCU's team speed and, their size, I think they'll score some points. But I wouldn't be shocked if Georgia, put the clamps down and, blew them out. But, yeah, this line to me just screams like, please take TCU. And whenever it does that, I think that's a red flag right there. So I wouldn't play TCU, especially plus the 12.5, maybe plus 14. Sure. Plus 12.5. Not really interested. I I think, towards kickoff, we'll get some more Georgia buyback. So they might close at like, minus 13 or something like that. But the line to me screams, please take TCU, which means Georgia in a blowout. So that's where I am with this one. I just want a good game, really, so we'll see what happens. And I'm looking forward to seeing Stetson Bennett show us what he's got one more time.
Before I step over to the frozen pond, the PGA teed off yesterday in Kapalua, Hawaii. I guess a little log jam, Morikawa, Rahm, and there was someone else at -9.
JJ Spawn.
Okay. How first day on the links, and you give us any nuggets for the rest of the weekend over there?
Yeah, I did this tournament for free on my website and didn't play any first round matchups or anything. Gave out like Tom Kim top 10 plus 185, John Rahm to win plus 750. I gave out Rahm round 1 leader at plus 1200. He was 1 stroke behind. He had an eagle putt on 18 for the outright round leader, and it lipped out. So I split the first round dead heat odds. So it paid like plus 400. So the first tournament of the season, we got the round 1 leader right off the bat. It was John Rahm, so it was the favorite. But this is John Rahm's course essentially to lose. I think his last 84 holes, he's like 42 under on this course. So he basically birdies every other hole, the last 7 rounds. So he owns this course. He shot a 9 under yesterday. Could have easily been 11 under, 12 under. His putter is working. His putter's on fire. His driver is on fire, and I think Rahm will run away with this. So I'm just happy with the odds I got him at the start of the tournament at plus 750. I think Rahm runs away with it because he's proven to be consistent every round here. Morikawa looked great yesterday. I don't think Morikawa can manage to stay that consistent for 4 rounds. I could see a guy like Tom Kim coming in competing. But I think it's definitely Rahm's tournament to lose right now. So I think John Rahm will run away with it this weekend. He got second place last year, and he was 33 under. So I'm definitely, I think Rahm definitely runs away with it. So we'll just see. I haven't done today's plays yet, but I do like John Rahm to win it. So it's probably a little too less valuable right now to bet. So if you want to bet John Rahm, basically just hope he starts out with a couple bogeys so you can pick him up at a better number. But right now I wouldn't touch him. But we already have him from pre-tournament, so I'm happy with that. And I'm just looking forward to John getting the job done so I can start my year off with an outright and a round 1 leader.
That'd be a hell of a start there, sir.
I know he's the favorite, so it's like, but I'm a big John Rahm guy. So we also have Matsuyama, who played a pretty good round yesterday. So I'm just looking forward to it. And then coming next week with the Sony Open, should be a fun few weeks of golf. So I'm just looking forward to it today.
We'll close out on the frozen pond. Your Panthers traveled to Detroit. I had an overnight number of -145. Detroit plus 125 with a 6.5. Right now at the Circo, -143 for your Panthers. Detroit plus 131, still at a 6.5. Any feel for your Panthers tonight?
Yeah, I'll probably take the Panthers money line tonight. Detroit just got destroyed by the Devils, the Devils have been struggling. Like we said a month ago on the show, the Devils would fall off, and they've fallen off all right. In Detroit, I don't think, sooner or later, Detroit, they're 16-13 on the year, right? Like, this is above where we thought they would be by far. I think we're going to see Detroit start to fall off a little bit. So, Detroit, they had like a 7-game losing streak. They've won 3 out of their last 5. And they've been playing better at home. Their last 2 home games, they beat Tampa Bay 7-4. They beat Ottawa 4-2. But then they did lose to Detroit 5-1 at home. I think we'll see this Detroit team come back to earth a little bit. And the Panthers, the Panthers can't play any worse than they've been playing, right? Kachuk just had a hat trick on Tuesday. They lost to the Rangers, so the Panthers have been playing a hard schedule. So I do look forward to them. I do think that they'll beat Detroit. So I like that money line. I might take like their team total over 3.5, something like that, because the Panthers are still number one in the NHL for shots on goal every game. And Detroit's not exactly a great defensive team there. Detroit's 20th in the league in defense, and they're 21st in the league in scoring. And the Panthers are number one in shots per game, 36 a game, and number 12 in scoring. So I like the Panthers to get the job done tonight. And I think the Panthers are due for a good performance in net. So whether it's Spencer Knight starting or Sergei Bobrovsky, the Panthers are due for a good performance. And I believe we played Detroit we played Detroit on December 8th. We won 5-1. So the Panthers, the last few seasons they've been doing very well against Detroit. And I think tonight they keep it up. I don't think this is even one where Paul Maurice could even ruin. So I'll either play the Panthers money line or the Panthers team total over 3.5. I'd feel more confident with the team total over 3.5. So I'll probably take the Panthers over 3.5 in this one.
Yeah, I got right now projected Knight and Husso as of currently right now, and that was early last night. So we don't have, that's the projected. We'll wait for the confirmation there. I know you got a busy morning ahead of you, Rob. The scroller has been going the whole time. Everyone on Twitter knows where to follow you at Beating the Bookie. Tell them where to find you on your website, what you got going again for the weekend. Obviously, golf next week, and potentially you and I will circle the wagons and be back on Monday.
Yeah, we've got NFL this week. It's last week of the regular season. We've got all of our packages on site. We got golf packages starting next week. We've got the golf free plays for this week's Century Champions tournament on the website for free. So you can find those on the website. I post daily free play on the website, so you can also go there to find the daily free play, which is updated like later in the day. But pretty much everything going on. Looking forward to the NFL resuming this weekend. Can't wait. And like we said, maybe we'll do something Monday for the championship game. Guess we'll just have to see. But can only talk about the game so many times before they actually play it, So we'll see what happens. And I look forward to being on some more and coming on, ECSI and giving some people some free tidbits of information.
It's always a pleasure. Yes, we have talked Georgia TCU a lot. We could be glad to get that game on. Then we really start to focus NCAA conference play, conference tournaments, March Madness in March, where me, you, maybe Kiefer, Dave Sharapan, a few others, Jeffrey Benson, Derek, and the boys, we all can sit, meet, greet, and enjoy the games there. And speaking of Mattress Mac, the Mush, I think he also dropped a cool million on the Houston Cougars, who I'm telling you, I know that offensively, I'm not saying they're offensively challenged, but their defense is the best in the country.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to the Indiana Hoosiers. Complete bums. 21-point lead last night, getting 1.5 points. They lose by 2. Had them, of course. So shout out to Indiana for just being a bunch of bums. I'm looking forward to March Madness where Indiana gets bounced in the opening round. This is another year. The Big Ten, I talked about it in football. It's a fade the Big Ten kind of motto. Same thing for basketball, right? 9 teams made the tournament last year. 0 made the Elite 8. I think we'll see the same thing this year. I mean, Purdue was ranked number 1, right? I don't think there's many people out there who's going to tell you Purdue is the number 1 ranked college basketball team in the country. I don't care what their ranking is. But you give me pretty much any of those top dogs against Purdue, and I'll take those top dogs. Arizona, I'll take those guys all day over Purdue. So I think this is looking like another year where I'm going to fade the Big Ten in the NCAA tournament because I'm just not liking what I'm seeing from them. They play that defensive ball where it's just like, you got Indiana supposed to be great. They're losing to Iowa's biggest trash team in like over a decade, right? So I think it's going to be a tough year for the Big Ten. And I can't wait until March Madness and the Big Ten gets exposed again for the 100th time. So maybe next year we can stop ranking these teams in the Big Ten number one because I just don't see it. It's the most overrated conference in America, and I cannot wait until they get exposed, just like they got exposed last week in college football. So
I did catch the nugget. I think it was the biggest collapse in history of Indiana / Iowa. Again, I didn't see a second of the game. I only saw the highlights, and I saw they were up 21, and they end up not.
They can't make free throws. You can't make. It's the same thing with Indiana. They can't make free throws, and you lose games, right? So, they're not going anywhere, right? So, Maryland fell off. So one by one, these Big Ten teams are just falling off, and I'm just here to enjoy watching it. So I hope the Big Ten just continues to fall, and I cannot wait till I can fade them in March Madness because I guarantee you a Big Ten team will not win a national championship.
From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from BTB at Beating the Bookie, we wish everyone a great weekend. Yes, it's here. Go reach out to Rob. Check out his packages on his website. Follow him, follow myself. Any questions, we are always available. We do answer if you do ask us a question. So behave yourself, guys, and we will see you soon.